Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to a new video. Today I wanted to talk about a Polish ocean liner and not just any liner. In this video we'll be covering the TSS Stefan Batory. This ship had a short but truly incredible history, and she's widely regarded as the last Polish ocean liner in regular transatlantic service. In today's video, we'll take a look at her full story, from her construction, to her years of service, and finally, to her end at the scrapyard in 2000. I'm incredibly excited to share this story with you all. If you're excited too, make sure to leave a like so we can share this amazing piece of maritime history with as many people as possible. The Stefan Batory entered service as the 4th Holland America Line vessel to carry the name SS Maasdam. Initially, she was deployed by the Holland America Line to operate routes to the Dutch East Indies. Originally, the ship was intended to be a standard freighter named Diemerdik, but during construction, the plans were altered to convert her into a passenger liner. Let's take a quick look at the key details of this vessel. She had a gross registered tonnage of 15,015 tons. The ship's length was 153.4 meters, which is 503 feet 3 inches. Her beam measured 21.1 meters, which is again 69 feet 3 inches. The vessel could reach speeds up to 17 knots. She accommodated 39 first-class passengers and 734 tourist-class passengers. The crew numbered 336. The ship was launched on December 19th, 1950, and set off on her maiden voyage on August 11th, 1952, calling at the ports of Rotterdam, Southampton, Le Havre, Montreal, and New York City, after which she began transatlantic service between West Germany and New York. However, on Sunday, October 3rd, 1954, during dense fog, she collides with the cargo ship Tefevo near Rhode Island, New York. Both ships had to return to New York for repairs, but the Holland America Line refused to pay the hotel costs for the 200 passengers, which led to a sit-down strike. In the end, the passengers were proven right, and the ship eventually departed for Rotterdam on October 27th. An interesting fact is that in 1962, Lee Harvey Oswald, along with his wife Marina and their daughter, traveled to the United States from the Soviet Union aboard the Maasdam. Oswald was a US Marine veteran and Marxist activist who would go on to assassinate John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, on November 22nd, 1963, just 1 year after arriving in America on the Maasdam. On February 15th, 1963, while sailing through the Weser estuary off the coast of West Germany, the Maasdam struck the wreck of the British ship the Harborough, which had herself sunk in 1959 after hitting the remains of the Soviet vessel the Kolmogry. At the time, the Maasdam was carrying 500 people, all of whom were safely evacuated despite the ship developing a severe list. A skeleton crew later managed to navigate the damaged liner safely to Bremerhaven. In June 1968, the ship was acquired by the Polish government and underwent a transformation to serve as a Polish ocean liner. On April 11th, 1969, she officially entered service as the replacement for the aging MS Batory, renamed TSS Stefan Batory. And in honor of the 16th century Polish king Stefan Batory, the vessel was refitted in Gdansk. Following her refit and renaming, she became the flagship of the Polish ocean lines. The ship primarily operated on the route Gdynia-Copenhagen, Rotterdam-London, Montreal, Southampton, Rotterdam, Copenhagen, and Gdynia, according to reports from the time when the Stefan Batory made her first arrival in Rotterdam in 1969. Under her new name, her former owners expressed interest in reacquiring the ship to return her to service under her previous flag. One of the elements that gave Polish transatlantic voyages their unique charm aboard the Stefan Batory was the presence of live orchestras. For many years, these ensembles were led by well-known conductors such as Czesław Słabolepszy, Paweł Laskowski, Janusz Popławski, and Bronisław Dyszkiewicz. Starting in 1969, passengers were treated to performances by two orchestras, a larger octet that offered mid-morning symphonic concerts and lively evening balls in the Grand Ballroom, and a smaller quartet that provided afternoon music during English tea time. The quartet also performed during dinner and continued entertaining guests with dance music in a more intimate salon from 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. Two particularly notable orchestras performed aboard the Stefan Batory. One was led by guitarist Jerzy Kowalewski, while the other was a well-known ensemble from Katowice under the direction of saxophonist and clarinetist Bronisław Dyszkiewicz, another distinguished musician who played both on the MS Batory and later the Stefan Batory was Alojzy Musiał, a prominent figure in Polish jazz during the 1950s and 1960s. From mid-December 1969 to March 1970, Stefan Batory underwent a significant refit at the Gdansk shipyard. During this renovation, the Bubinga wood-paneled Little Lounge was updated with modern furniture and intricately carved wooden details. The cherrywood library was enhanced with amber light fixtures and new furnishings. The former smoking room was transformed into a stylish nightclub, while the card room received a unique makeover, becoming both the Polish Inn as well as the Mountaineer's Cottage, featuring rustic pine paneling and deck-style flooring. On main deck, near the foyer, a block of passenger cabins was replaced by a newly created card room and chess room. Toward the aft of the promenade deck, a gymnasium and sauna were added for passenger leisure. Additionally, a 280-seat cinema was constructed in place of the forward hold. The refit also included upgrades to crew accommodations and the installation of an automatic fire detection system in compliance with the 1966 safety regulations. The ship had acquired a fresh decorative style that, much like her profile, blended the charm of the old with the elegance of the new. Several original features from her time as the Maasdam were thoughtfully preserved, including the American bar, with its rich dark walnut paneling, the tourist dining room, and the first-class rooms on boat deck. Among these is the bar lounge, overlooking the bow, paneled in Zeelandelm and Italian walnut, considered one of the most atmospheric and evocative spaces on board. Externally, a glass windscreen was installed around the outdoor swimming pool, enhancing comfort without compromising aesthetics. Beginning her second season, the former Maasdam rekindled a familiar connection on April 11th, 1970, when she returned to Rotterdam, now a regular port of call, with Holland America acting as her agent. Like her predecessor, the Stefan Batory frequently found herself at the center of political attention. When the St. Lawrence River was frozen, the liner operated transatlantic crossings to and from New York. On January 4th, 1971, she made headlines as the first communist bloc liner to dock in New York since the Batory in 1951. Upon arrival with 397 passengers and 337 crew, she was met at Pier 40 by protesting longshoremen who refused to unload her, claiming she floated in a sea of blood, a reference to the recent Gdansk riots. Undeterred, the Stefan Batory departed on January 6th with just 120 passengers and returned with less fanfare on March 19th, carrying 761. That winter, 6 planned Caribbean cruises from New York were cancelled due to insufficient bookings. The ship also became known for high-profile defections. In January 1974, 81 Polish citizens jumped ship in Hamburg, and in November 1984, another 192 left the vessel at the same port. These incidents underscored the tense domestic situation in Poland at the time, conditions that sharply contrasted with the peaceful, old-world charm cultivated aboard the ship. As she continued her transatlantic service, the Stefan Batory steadily built a reputation as a successful cruise ship. In 1975, she set off from Tilbury on a New Year's southern cruise to the Canary Islands and other Atlantic destinations. The following year, she launched what would become an annual tradition, a festive Christmas and New Year's cruise. Her cruise offerings expanded over the years. In 1978, she began summer voyages along the scenic St. Lawrence and Saguenay rivers from Montreal. One of the highlights of her cruising career came in 1979, when she embarked on a grand 52-day Mediterranean and Black Sea voyage, visiting 22 ports between February 24th and April 17th. In 1980, the Stefan Batory added a month-long West Indies cruise to her schedule, and by August 1986, she ventured north on her first Norwegian Fjords cruise, also departing from Tilbury. While she welcomed the usual cruise passengers, the Stefan Batory also carried groups of Polish workers, many of whom were offered these voyages as rewards for exceptional productivity back home, blending leisure travel with a touch of state recognition. The rise of the Solidarity movement in Poland and the subsequent declaration of martial law in December 1981 had a significant impact on the Stefan Batory. Her home port of Gdynia had been at the heart of the political unrest. Just months earlier, in August, as tensions escalated, many of her sailings were forced to end in Rotterdam rather than returning to Gdynia. The situation continued to deteriorate. Both the 1981 Christmas cruise and the 1982 Caribbean cruise were cancelled, and newly imposed travel restrictions sharply reduced the number of Polish passengers allowed to travel. The once vibrant atmosphere aboard the Stefan Batory was increasingly overshadowed by the political turmoil at home. Despite the many challenges of the early 1980s, reports in 1982 suggested that Poland planned to replace the Stefan Batory by late 1986. The proposed new ship would either be built in Poland and named Polonia, or constructed in Finland or West Germany and bear the proud name Battery. However, much like similar plans from 2 decades earlier, these ambitions were ultimately derailed by ongoing political and economic instability, and so the veteran liner continued to sail enduring and resilient, a floating symbol of the Polish people's unwavering spirit. Over her 20 years of service, the Stefan Batory welcomed many of Poland's finest artists on board, who performed and entertained her passengers. On numerous occasions, the ship was celebrated as one of the greatest ambassadors of Polish culture and tradition to the world. By 1985, the Stefan Batory had completed 131 Atlantic crossings, carrying 180,259 passengers, and had also welcomed 86,049 guests on 136 cruises. Known for her impeccable maintenance, remarkable reliability, and a crew regarded as among the friendliest afloat, the 35-year-old ship was approaching her final curtain call. With a major survey scheduled for 1988, new Canadian environmental regulations she couldn't meet, and ongoing economic challenges in Poland, it was announced in January 1987 that the Stefan Batory would be retired the following March, with no replacement planned. As the last of the classic Atlantic liners, she made 4 round trips to Montreal in her final season. Her farewell voyage departed Gdynia on September 22nd and arrived in Montreal on October 5th. After saying goodbye to Canada on October 7th, she returned to Poland on October 20th. This marked the end of an era, the last regularly scheduled steam-powered transatlantic crossing, the final liner service to Canada, and the close of 57 years of Polish transatlantic passenger service that began with the Polonia on August 14, 1930. Like her predecessor, the MS Batory, the TSS Stefan Batory ended her career with a series of memorable cruises. During her final summer season, she completed 2 Norwegian fjords voyages, followed by 2 extended winter cruises from Tilbury. The first, from November 7th to January 4th, 1988, was particularly historic. It marked the first South American voyage by a Polish liner since the MS Sobieski and Krobry sailed there in 1939, with calls at Rio de Janeiro, Santos, Montevideo, and Buenos Aires. The Stefan Batory's final voyage was a West Indies and Cuba cruise, departing Tilbury on January 17th and returning on March 22nd. When the Polish flag was lowered for the last time, the Stefan Batory secured her place in Poland's maritime history and in the hearts of all who sailed with her, officers, crew, and passengers alike. Like the MS Batory before her, she remained a true symbol of Polish pride. After retiring from Polish Ocean Lines, the Stefan Batory was operated for a time by the Hellenic Polish Line before being sold to Stena AB, who shortened her name to TSS Stefan. From 1990 to 1992, she was repurposed as a refugee accommodation ship and hostel in Gothenburg, Sweden. Ambitious plans to rebuild her into a modern cruise vessel were abandoned in the early 1990s. The graceful liner, still adorned with much of her original Holland America line paneling and fittings, was left to fall into disrepair. Following several years of idleness between Gothenburg and Eleusis, and nearly 8 years laid up at Chalkis, Greece, the Stefan was finally sent for scrapping. She arrived at the shipbreaking yards in Aliaga, Turkey on March 22, 2000. By mid-April, all her furnishings had been removed, and scrapping had begun, starting with her bow while the superstructure remained standing. The demolition process took approximately 5 months to complete. Thank you all for joining me on this deep dive into the remarkable story of the TSS Stefan Batory, a ship that truly embodied the spirit and history of Polish ocean liners. From her unique beginnings, through decades of service, music, and political turbulence, to her final farewell, the Stefan Batory remains an unforgettable symbol of maritime heritage. And that marks the end of a video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing to the channel, as that would help out the channel a lot. Now, if you have any thoughts, comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, as I absolutely love reading your comments. And please let me know in the comment section down below as well what ships you would like me to cover in the future. Now be as well sure to check out our social media pages. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we also recently have a website, oldshippinglines.com, where we have articles of the ships we cover and we have book reviews as well. I think you will enjoy the website very much. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay happy, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.